Hi, my name is Eder Mejia, and this is my first affirmative rebuttal against Danica's negative construct. So I'm going to be talking about what she nails on me for the state testing, the the ethnicity bias in schools, teacher qualifications, the No Child Left and the No Child Left Behind law. But I want to start off by saying that I understand that Danica used statistics throughout her whole negative construct, but that's the thing. She only gave information to further support the ESCA Act, which I was amplifying about. So even though she was giving statistics about state testing, ethnicity bias, teacher qualifications, and No Child Left Behind law, she was just stating what's currently happening right now with the No Child Left Behind law and how things are in current place. So she kind of failed to demonstrate that my ESCA Act would not help this case. Um, so, I'm just going to go over the topics that she was talking about and how what she was saying actually supports why you should vote for the ESCA Act, which is again the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. So she talks about state testing. She gives statistics and how in what school throughout yearly percentages of how some schools progress and so how some schools are failing in terms of low turnout test scores. So this is what the ESCA Act does in comparison to that. So besides still continuing to funding schools that are excelling in test scores, which I mean, we should not be taking away something like that from them if they are working towards that. But if they are, for example, on the lower statistical side uh, of not passing the standardized testing or not giving sufficient test scores, then which she failed to mark was that the ESCA Act has a way to fix that by giving by giving skills to teachers, workshops that will allow them to switch up the curriculum, ways they can the ways they can target how the system's not working and better fix that. And then she speaks about how low test scores, according to state statistics, decrease the tools and supplies they need, and so they suffer. So then why not pass the ESCA Act if this is what the ESCA Act is going to provide? Um, Onto my second standpoint, where she talks about the ethnic bias. I understand that there is an ethnic bias in terms of schools and in terms of testing scores of how that affects the school. I mean, rural areas, obviously, schools that are more bound to a different criteria group do get lessly funded because they are not provided as well, and it is kind of like it is sad that to know that because it is an ethnic boundary that some schools are stereotypically not better and then fall into that criteria. But then again, the ESCA Act, if they will find what's the problem in the school and fix it, providing whether it's providing a dual language classes to where they can both learn a class in English or in Spanish or whatever second other language they speak, and in order for them to understand it better, making the curriculum a little bit more easy for them to understand. So that's how the ESCA Act will help it. The next thing she talks about is teacher qualifications in terms of how some teachers aren't qualified, some teachers don't care enough, some teachers don't have the tools sufficient enough to actually teach the students. So, which I agree with her on that because it's like that's what's happening right now. Teachers don't know how to teach anymore. The curriculum they're forced to teach in is kind of holding them back from actually letting the student progress because they have to follow the curriculum in order for them to go on to the next level, and that kind of like is not fair. So once the ESCA Act notice that this is true, so what is I keep repeating myself, but it's this is true. Like if the ESCA Act is providing workshops so teachers can better learn how to teachers that are struggling with teaching skills can learn how to teach better. Teachers that have an issue with the curriculum, they can basically find a different way to change the curriculum, and that way they can oversee a better way in how they think they should teach the students to progress them to make sure that they have a better understanding to excel to the next level of learning. And then Danica talks about it a lot about the No Child Left Behind law, but all that she really did was talk about how the No Child Left Behind law is uh, is really bad in terms of the no funding for lower schools. It's not providing any source of support for them. And again, I like to say that yes, I agree with, or thank you, Danica, for agreeing with me, because I don't know if you don't know that you're not arguing with me, you're actually helping me in this case. But this furthers me wanting you to vote for the ESEA Act, because the Elementary and Secondary Education Act will provide and fix all these problems that from what Danica has stated is to be true. So, I mean, what other things can I say than to vote for the ESEA Act if this is the future for second elementary and secondary education? Thank you.